No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it. You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Hey, gardeners. I hope you're all having a great week out in your gardens. I'm out here just doing a little bit of weeding. I'm sowing out some radish seeds and getting ready to set out our peppers in our containers here. And I was thinking about a conversation we had just this last week about seed saving. And as you can see here, I've got this variety of a micro dwarf lettuce I got from Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company. This is called Tom Thumb. I really love this. These are delicious just little heads of lettuce. You know what I mean? Just little heads. And to grow a bunch of them out, and they're perfect for me as one person. So I grow a bunch of these out, but I save a couple of these so that I can grow them out for seed. Because out of most of the crops, I definitely want to save my lettuce seed. As I've found over the years, fresh lettuce seed always works best. This is an heirloom variety, so we're going to let this bolt and go to seed as we plant out some beans here real soon. And we'll just let those seed out. And when they do, we'll collect seed for next season to grow out more and maybe share with some friends. All right, everybody, we got a great show for you today. Let's get growing. All right, everybody. It's Saturday. How exciting. It's time for the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Edic. I'm your host today. We have got a really, really great show for you ahead today. I'm really, really excited. We've got joining with us one of my favorite and one of my big time inspirational gardeners. We'll talk about that a little bit here later on before he comes onto the show later on. Ciscoe Morris. Ciscoe Morris, as I say there on the title, their Northwest Treasure, is going to be joined with us here. He's been on the show a couple of times already, and just a real delight. Has lots of great, funny, really great stories. So we'll be really looking forward to that conversation later. And then we also have Aaron, Garden Zaddy, join with us here in just a few minutes as well too. So looking forward to that conversation. And again, thank you all so much for being here for our show this weekend. And if you can, real quick, here at the top of the show, definitely click that thumbs up, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams. I've got some great videos coming out, more parts of our pepper growing series that I've been putting out this year. Been really having fun putting together these videos, so we'll have a real complete, and I've been wanting to do this for a while, for over the years. I do mostly with our videos, or just kind of like video vlogs, garden tours, those sort of things like that. I've wanted to kind of put together a whole season's like just kind of following along, growing something. And peppers are just one of my favorite things to grow. I've got a whole system for it for my small space urban garden and how I grow them indoors and bring them outdoors. And we grow them up on the rooftops. We grow them in these 5-gallon wicking buckets. We got all sorts of stuff that we're going to be talking about and showing as we're going to be following along from seed to seed, basically, with all of our peppers that we're growing here in the garden this year. And I've got more videos coming out real soon, so that's why you want to hit that bell notification. Plus, we've got some garden journals coming up, following along with all of our different garden projects. And again, that's where you're going to find all of our garden tours and things like that, so you can see that what we've got growing on in the garden, besides all of our just little short clips that you guys get to see here at the beginning of this show. That's a real good way to check out what we've got growing on here on the Urban Gardener. Also, share with all your friends. Let everybody know about the Let's Get Growing show. Share in your garden groups. Share with all your garden clubs, friends, all of that. Let them know what we've got growing on here each and every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And as you can see, I did finally add it, 7 p.m. BST, British Summer Time, for all of you over in the UK who are following along and watching with us as well too. Thank you so much, everybody, again, for being here. And a big, huge shout out to all of you who are following along with us on the replay, watching now on all your time. Thank you so much for taking your time to click onto our show and watch along with these really great, fun gardening conversations we get to have here. Like I said, every Saturday and Sunday. And if you can, drop into the comments section below. Let me know if you got any questions, comments, or anything at all, or even if you just want to say hi. I love it. Just drop it down in the comments. Look forward to hearing from all of you. And if you are joining with us here live on the show today, if you're in the comments, or if you haven't jumped into the comments yet, jump into the comments. Let us know you're here. Let us know what you've got growing on. And if you want to ask any questions, drop any comments, do that in our chat. Definitely ask some questions when we get our guests on here on the show, and I'll work to fit those questions into the conversation. Sometimes we don't get right away to certain questions. I will try to mark those if you can put them in big, bold capital letters for me so I can see those from the regular conversation, the questions, and then I can hopefully make sure I mark those to make sure we get those into the conversation and ask those of our guests later on. So I look forward to seeing all of your questions here coming up here. And definitely follow all the links down below. We got all of our links to our guests down below. We really love it when you click on those links, go and support our guests for coming and hanging out with us here on the show and talking all about what they've got growing on. So go over and check out what they've got growing on over on their channels, their social media. Go find one of their videos or posts or something and drop in the comments and let them know that you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show. I love it when you guys do that. Thank you so much for taking that extra time to not only support our guests who are taking their time to be here on the show, but it's a great way to support our show in general too. So get out there and check out the rest of the gardening community that we're getting to meet and know here on the Let's Get Growing show. So again, thank you all so much for being here. We've got, like I said, a great show ahead for you all today. And really looking forward to our conversation with Ciscoe. Like I said, huge inspiration for me. Real quick, I'll just say everybody sees this right here. Let's see if I can point to it right. It's over here, right there. Everybody sees this in the background right here. It says "Ooh la la," and "Ooh la la" is actually Ciscoe's like tagline. Real quick, I'm just gonna say this: his book, title of his book, "Ooh la la," all of that. And he's just been one of those big influential gardeners for me throughout like really most of my adulthood. I remember hanging out in Seattle on one of my breaks on the weekends I would get at this job I had, and it just happened to coincide with Ciscoe's radio show and his radio call-in show. So I would get to sit there for an hour and listen to him give gardening advice. And back then, all I had was just a few house plants around my house and anything. But he's just one of those guys that you just love listening to him. You love hearing his stories, and when you get to hear him chat and talk with everybody else too, it's just a fun listen. So I really, again, so fortunate to be able to have him come and join with us here on our show. So looking forward to that coming up. Lots and lots growing on in the garden. I hope all of you have been doing lots in your garden, got lots growing on. Again, we're all growing from all different regions around here, but I think that we're now starting to get into that time where everybody's really getting out now, really getting those summer crops going and all of that. So that's a really fun time of year. I am out this last week. Got to plant out my tomatoes finally. I didn't have to wait actually just a little bit longer than I wanted to, because my good friend Adam from right up the road here in Central Point. Yeah, I know I got him in here somewhere. But anyways, he came to the rescue this last week. I had burnt out and messed up my first crop of tomatoes. I shared that all with you guys recently. And so I had to restart all of my tomatoes. I had little seedlings. I was going to have to wait just a little bit more to get them out into the garden. But our good friend Adam here showed up this last week with some great starts, all ready to go, got them out into the garden. And so that's something we'll be talking about too as well in our upcoming garden journal. And to talk, showing everybody. Oh my gosh. Oh, can you still hear me? I should be back. Hopefully, give it a second. Oh my, oh my, oh. I was worried that was going to do that today. I have certain things I think I've figured out for certain settings and everything for it, but man, it's still catching me every now and then. But anyways, back to what we were talking about there. I got all of that those tomatoes out because I had community to really come and rescue me. You know what I mean? And that was something we've been talking a lot about and everything, and we've been sharing a lot about is this idea of bringing people together within our community, utilizing our gardens as a space that we can bring people locally to help them and encourage them to garden. We've talked about that in National Gardening Month and all of that as well too. So really this kind of goes to show the benefits of that as well too. I mean, here I was, I had a real issue, made a big mistake, and lost my first timely crop of tomatoes that was going to go in. And then now I've got a good friend who jumped in to save the day, bunch of great varieties. So we're still going to be able to grow a bunch of really cool varieties of tomatoes, a little bit different than the ones that I've got. I'm going to try to save a couple of those still smaller seedlings and grow those out. I've got some volunteers out there as well too that are growing big and healthy. So we do got lots and lots of great tomatoes to look forward to coming up this season. And again, thanks to having a good gardening community as well too. All right, let's check out who's in our community right now in the chat right now. Of course, we gotta say hi to our good friend Jay Dixon, our facilitator of the chat. Thank you so much, Jay, for being here, joining us from Midwestern Ontario, Canada. Thank you, Jay. Follow along, everybody there in the chat, and Jay will be dropping in links throughout the conversations today, and you can utilize those links to find further information on subjects we're talking about. And if you do have any channels, we are a community show. This is where we like the community come together and everything. So if you do have any small channels or anything like that, you're in the chat and you want to shout out, just let us know that you got a channel. Jay will go and get a link into the chat there so everybody can go in and drop in and give you guys some support as well too. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thanks, Jay, for being here. It's great to have you. I see dropping in early into the conversation today, Dusty Flats was in today with us here, checking everything out. Says, had to stop to absorb the beauty of irises and roses yesterday. Took pics, got to do that sometimes. Yes, you got to stop and smell the roses. Funny story though too is that I've got my cat. People who watch my videos know George around the garden, and I was just sitting watching him and thinking about like what a lucky cat that guy is. You know, he was wandering around yesterday, and I was just sitting back watching him, and he was literally just wandering around smelling everything and just smelling around and smelling the flowers and smelling the plants and just laying around and everything. I was just like, what a lucky cat that guy is. But he gets to stop and smell those roses every single day. Sarita, thanks for joining with us here today. Thank you so much. Checked out the Garden Like a Viking stream just before us. Yes, Nate's always got a great stream. Hopefully we'll have Nate back here on the show as well too. It's always great to follow Nate and Garden Like the Viking with our show as well too. So thanks, Serena, for jumping on over here from Garden Like a Viking. Mobius, thank you for being here. It's great to see you. Awesome to have you here. And let's see here. I'm going to get through the chat here real quick. I see Renato here as well too. Thanks for being in the chat with us. Thanks for joining us here today. Like I said, we've got a really great show. Renato says, my peppers are doing good, just need some rain. Yeah, I know. I've been out there getting the gardens plenty of watering over the last few days because one of the issues we've been dealing with here lately over the last few years is that we wait for our last frost date. And as I shared recently, I'm kind of really waiting for it because I got had the other year and it wasn't too bad. And it didn't really cause that much damage ultimately, but there was a frost that happened after our last frost date a couple of years ago. So I'm really kind of like, wait a minute, let's just be sure. And we were well good to go. But ultimately, yeah, it's good that that's passed already now and that we're on to moving on. Let's see here. I'm sorry, I'm getting caught up here trying to follow along with her, making sure I'm not missing anything into the conversation at all. But again, thank you everybody for being here. Oh, I see Jersey Girl here as well too. Right on, right on. Excellent, excellent, you guys. Great to see you here. What does he say? Snack. Darth X. Excellent. Right on, everybody. Like I said, we got a great show ahead for you today. Right here, right after our first break, we've got a great first guest for you. So we'll be right back in just a moment.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants, and author, Saving the World with the Home Garden. Ivory Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah from Sarah's Seed Shop, here with another trivia question. Which of the following is not a variety of pea? A. Oregon Giant, B. Little Marble, C. Green Arrow, or D. Sugar Baby? We'll be back with the answer a little later in the show.
Oh my. I hate when that happens. Again, too, there's so many things going on, in trying to put together and make all those sort of things going on. I was in the middle of a thought and totally lost it, but I regained it there during the break real quick before we move on. Our comment was about rain. I was talking about the last frost date, and around here over the last couple of years, our last frost date has come around, and it just seems like summer hits us the next week. We're in the 90s. We just hit like 91 yesterday, upper 80s. And again, too, that's why I've been out watering the garden like crazy, trying to make sure everything doesn't dry up so early. So I'm looking forward to some rain too, for sure. We need it. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it here in Southern Oregon, but I'll definitely be out there making sure everything's nice and wet for sure during some of these really hot early parts of the season. So anyways, real quick, thank you to Sarah from Sarah's Seed Shop. Throw in your guess for her trivia question today. And I also want to say congratulations to Sarah from Sarah's Seed Shop. This last week, she announced her engagement to her new fiance, Harvey. Excellent. Congratulations, you two. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being such a great contributor to our show each week with your trivia questions. And like I said, if you got a guess, drop into the comments there and let us, and we'll and we'll get to the answer here in just a little bit here on the show. All right, everybody, it's now time for Are You Following Me?
Are you following me? Are you following me, dude?
All right. For this week's Are You Following Me? Let's welcome Aaron, Garden Zaddy. How's it going, Aaron? It's great to have you here on the show with us. Thank you for being
Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you just a minute here real quick. Introduce yourself. Let everybody know all about you and what you've got growing on there. And then we'll get on to learning a little bit about your garden story and journey.
Of course, yeah. Pleasure to be here. So my name is Aaron. I go by Garden Zaddy on just about every platform you can find online. I am an urban organic gardener here based in Pasadena, California. So it's just outside of LA. I'm in Zone 10A, very hot Mediterranean climate. And I got into all of this because I was kind of just sitting behind a computer working all day and then realized my basil was getting a little bit expensive by how much I was using a week. So then I tried my hand at some container gardening and then just blossomed into now growing, a lot of my own annuals, vegetables, herbs, medicinal plants, and then really getting into kind of the pollinator side and helping the ecosystem. And it's just become kind of my full-time thing, and I love it. So happy to talk about it any chance I get.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true of all of us gardeners, right? That's what makes this show so fun, is that people just love talking about gardening, and especially those of us out there with all these fun gardening projects like that. So yeah, definitely. And again, thanks for being here. Awesome stuff. So let's talk about this. Let's jump back. Let's talk about, where does this whole garden story begin for you? How do you find your way into the garden?
Yeah, so I live in a very, dense urban neighborhood. Like even from where I'm sitting, I could throw a stick and hit three houses. So there's not a ton of space here. But I got into it by way of container gardening. Again, my wife and I cook quite a bit, and I was just getting kind of frustrated by how a lot of the produce that we were buying, if we didn't cook it for a couple of days, it would go bad in the fridge. And so then
Yeah.
I just got interested in, the process of growing it. And then once I had my first success mixed with a couple of failures, it turned into this thing of like, oh, I guess I started with earth boxes, like the containers that are sub-irrigated, which is great for my climate where there's like no rain ever.
Yes.
And then I made my first funny mistake of just chucking a bunch of tomato seeds in the ground and then realized, you only need one. And then it's just grown from there. I love growing super spicy peppers. So then that was next on my list. And that's been kind of a big tenet and core of what I've been doing since. Everything from, habaneros, reapers, ghost peppers, and everything of the sort. Normal peppers too, but I enjoy the hot ones. So that's kind of what I got started with it. And, I love helping people kind of get past the thing of, particularly here in my urban gardening context, I love to, show people that they can grow even if they don't have a huge space to grow in, or the perfect climate, or, some nice big backyard that gets a ton of sun. I've helped people start growing in condos, in places where they only get like 4 hours of sunlight. I really firmly believe there's a solution for every situation as far as being able to grow something. So that's kind of my thing.
Man, I'm telling you, we got very similar stories in the way we believe about small space gardening, for sure. That's a lot, what we're about here too on my channel. Again, so you really found gardening kind of, a little later in life then, too. This wasn't, growing up in your parents' garden or grandparents or anything like this. This was just, you were looking at food and realizing, hey, wait a minute, I could grow better food myself if I, gave it the effort.
Yeah, I grew up, on the fourth floor of an apartment building. I kind of sometimes joke and think about my mother's family. They were farmers, but, when she moved to the city, that wasn't really a thing. So I kind of think sometimes, is there some like, in the blood generational thing at play as far as like why I enjoy it so much, where it kind of, skipped a generation or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I just really love it. And I mean, it's kind of become this thing now where, even when I'm not growing as many harvestable things, just seeing the contrast in my, yard now with, all the different pollinators and beneficials, and even the things that aren't so great being then eaten by the beneficials, and just getting to enjoy the peace and, kind of small little bit of paradise, paradise with its little, bumps and funny bits. That's just, a couple feet away.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Again, too, we talk about this all the time on the show with all of our different guests, with all these varieties of stories that come around and everything. But really, it really is amazing, kind of these other benefits of gardening that we slowly start to figure out as we're going along this gardening journey, right? There's just we end up creating these great sanctuaries in a sense too, like you said, and we can start enjoying a lot of these other things. I mean, I went at it for the food purpose at first as well too, and then started discovering flowers and natives and pollinators, and then really discovering this whole natural ecosystem of live, just all these different critters and bugs, and, doing all sorts of stuff along with all these just amazing plants and flowers and everything. Just really was just really transformative in a sense when it comes down to it. And I think that's a real what I call usually seals the deal for people. You know what I mean? You start gardening, you're having fun with it, but then you start realizing that stuff, and then it's like, okay, now I'm a gardener for life. I'm just going to have this for now on.
I'm gonna be growing something forever. Something.
Yeah, exactly. I love that, man. That's so great. And again, so very similar, like I said, small space gardeners and everything. Also to the point of, like you said, some of those early garden mistakes, right? You're saying, you throw all these tomatoes in and, oh, I only need one, or, in my case, I was growing, I remember garlic was a big, huge one for me, learning and figuring that out because I was seeding out everything. My first spring, I've got all my seeds I've collected for the winter, and I'm seeding everything out for the spring, but I do know enough about garlic that it grows from the individual cloves, right? So here I'm plucking those into the little seed spot, spots in the little seed trays and everything, and growing them in the spring and starting them up and everything and growing them along with the rest of the garden. And that's a little bit of learning curve. Luckily, it only took till that fall for me to get the next one started and for that next year to have my first real garlic. But that was a fun learning curve though too, because all of them all are when it really comes down to it, kind of fun.
So true. Yeah, I just harvested all of my garlic and onions. It was late. The kind of problem here in Southern California, or in what many would consider like an ideal growing zone, is like the paralysis of choice, where you can kind of grow anything whenever, but is it the best? Or it can be an interesting dance. But I finally harvested all my garlic and onions, and you mentioned critters, and I love 98% of the critters that visit my garden. Anyone who follows any of my content will know my deep and undying hatred of squirrels. And so my first, or a few years ago when I did garlic and onions, I discovered the solution of doing a chicken wire drape over my beds and using the top screw and bolts to like hold down the chicken wire. And so now I've this year finally transitioned all of my raised beds to like getting a layer of chicken wire on there, even with like my peppers that I just planted, and then putting the mulch on top. So you kind of hide it so it's not quite as ugly as just having this giant mesh on top. So garlic and onions taught me that. And now it's kind of my thing across the board when it comes to keeping them away.
Well, that's a great idea. That's perfect. Great example of that too. Awesome. Also too, you were mentioning part of your gardening, again, the tomatoes at first, but really you're a pepper lover. I'm a pepper head too when it comes down to it. I don't know if I'm really, again, early on years and years ago, I would eat some really hot, I've kind of waned down from that a little bit. I still love growing my hot varieties, my super hot varieties each year. So I'll always have, a handful of those in with all of my peppers and everything. But tell me about some of your favorite peppers that you like growing.
My favorite pepper of all time, it may be just I'm sadistic on the inside, but I love chocolate habaneros. They are my favorite pepper, and they don't taste like chocolate. It's just the color.
No, exactly.
But they're around like 700,000 Scoville heat units, so like twice the heat of a normal habanero. But they are so hard to grow. And this year I tried again, and my seedlings failed. And they're not popular enough where you can get like swaps,
Right.
But I
gotta love the chocolate varieties too, though, is, and that's one of the things I've learned too through other growers, is that those chocolate varieties are going to be your hotter varieties. Yeah. So when I was growing for a hot pepper contest, I grew these chocolate prima tallies. I thought that was going to be the way to go to really take that contest. But excellent. My favorite ultimately though is one that was really popular years ago that I still love today. It's a mid-range heat. I like the habaneros, maybe a little less sometimes than some of them that I get, but the Sugar Rush Peach.
Nice.
Kind of the ahi variety, really great. I love that one. Tasty. and then you get a little bit of a zap, so it's good too as well. So you gotta have some flavor with them when it comes down to it.
Right. Not just the like I'm dying insanely hot ones. Although I will say the like
Exactly.
super hot ones, what I really
Mhm.
like to kind of stretch them out is I make chili flakes with all of my super hot peppers.
Yes, that's a good idea.
And I find that even like a Reaper or a ghost pepper, just a little bit on, some wings, some pizza, something that might
Yep.
not be as gardening is absolutely fantastic. Whereas if you'd use that in like a salsa, you're in for a
Woo!
tough time.
You're in for a big time for a while too. I mean, that'll run into
Right.
the next day on you.
Indeed.
But and I recommend that as well too, powdering, flaking, those sort of things, doing the
Hmm.
drying forms of that, to where you can really adjust the heat, like you said.
Right.
It's as much as you want at that point.
Yeah, which is very little for most.
Right. Excellent. So, what are some of your? I know you mentioned having this other thing, and you built that sort of thing and everything. What are some of your other biggest gardening challenges that you have there? You're in Southern
Dealing with
California, right?
Yeah, I'm in Southern California, and I'm a big fan of the also not just going by zones, but like the Köppen climate system. So it's like I'm
Mm,
in a Mediterranean hot summer, so there is like we do not get any rain whatsoever from say April until probably October, like not a drop. So for me, working, with that kind of system of having to get creative with my irrigation is really a key. Not just,
yes.
I'm a big fan of, traditional drip irrigation and whatnot, but also having to find ways to make sure that I'm not wasting water, but then also making sure, my very thirsty plants get what they need. So using different sub-irrigated containers, using oyas in my raised beds that get fed from a reservoir, and a lot of these other kind of little, some are DIY, some are pre-made solutions, but really working with the challenge of like a super hot dry climate, but then still
Mhm.
wanting to obtain a pretty good yield. And thankfully I figured out a few things along the way. But I would say, my two biggest things are squirrels, and then, just dealing with the climate, because
Yeah.
thankfully everything else gets taken care of. When it comes to aphids, mealy bugs, things like that, I just have, I don't spray anything whatsoever in my garden. I don't think there's a really
Yes.
good term for it, but I find that whenever there's like a little overgrowth of aphids, the ladybugs, the lady beetles, the green lacewings, all those things tend to show up and take care of business. And so,
Hmm.
thankfully, a couple, now that things have
Yeah.
been pretty well established,
Good.
they
What we
they, they
call
sort it out.
good. What we call integrated pest management.
Right, right.
And I don't know if you know who our guest is that we have coming up later today. He's from the Pacific Northwest, but this guy is actually one of the pioneers of integrated pest
Oh,
management from
cool.
back in I believe the mid to late 70s, and changing folks over who are really doing lots of chemicals going around
Hmm.
those days and stuff. And he resisted that up at the University of Washington and created a really great garden through integrated pest management. And yeah, so I consider him a leader in that sort of thing. And
Very
and
cool.
and, and really, again, too, that's just the best kind of situation to have in your garden, is where things are just kind of working to take care. Everything has a predator, and if we're doing certain things right, we're encouraging the ones that are going to come and take the ones that are causing harm to our plants. And then
Totally.
we can and if we're growing enough too, and we can really maximize our spaces, right, we can have enough growing too, to where just a little bit of pressure isn't going to really take away from our harvest too much, right?
Totally. Totally. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
try like I find that I kind of live right in the middle on the internet of gardening, where on one side, especially around here, is like the super native only plant people, and then on the other side you have the spray for everything, green lawn in the front yard, and like super manicured garden in the back. And I kind of try and live in the middle of like finding a pretty
Yeah.
pragmatic approach. Like I made a video. Oh, what's up, Ginger Foot Garden? I like I pick the cloudless sulfur caterpillars off of my popcorn cassia because I need to save those seed pods to give to other people. But then the people who are over here are mad at me for removing those. Meanwhile, those cloudless sulfurs are eating good everywhere else in my garden. So it's an interesting kind of spot to be in, but it's all for the good.
Yes, no, and I totally agree. We don't want to be too hard and fast on most anything's on either side of the spectrum of garden advice that we get. Really, that's what makes gardening so fun and flexible and everything, is that we can do and try and work with all that sort of stuff. Even though I very much, just like you though too, I'm a no spray type of person. I'm not, it's there's just a lot of other reasons. I don't know. I don't like about certain aspects of it for myself personally, but I'm not necessarily going to be bothered too much by other folks who are going to take organic measures of taking
Sure,
care of
sure.
spraying and doing certain stuff like that. Cause I don't, water is about as far as I'm going to go other than allowing, like you said, the ladybugs, the lacewings and those things go to work. If I see some aphid pressure that's looking a little too much, we're gonna get the
Sure,
hose
yeah,
out. We're gonna get the hose out. We're gonna wash those suckers
absolutely.
off. Yeah. Right on, right on. Real quick here. Um, what is it that you enjoy most about gardening? What is it that you really we're going to have a great garden panel tomorrow where we're asking what brings you joy in the garden. So what do you enjoy? What brings you joy in your garden?
I really think it's the collaboration with nature. I think
Mm,
myself and a lot of people get into gardening for, a sense of control and being able to make something, but really it's the sense that, there's so much going on in the soil, like we talked about with the beneficial insects. I'm just
yeah.
playing a small part in what's going on, and everything else, there's an ebb and flow. And I think that's such a fun and exciting thing to be a part of in so many different ways. So it's the collaboration of both growing things and then building an ecosystem that brings me joy every time I step out there.
Man, yeah, that's great. I love it too. Again, all of those sort of aspects of it where we're making that connection, we're finding those other bits of things from the garden more so than what our original intention in getting the garden was about. So I think that's really, really great. So here you've got your social media. It's called Garden Zaddy. Let's talk about that there. What inspired you to share your garden experiences and get on to social media and start Garden Zaddy?
The name was just me being funny. I really didn't think this would become the thing that it has. So, it's
Right.
just kind of a bit of humor that stayed with me, but it also is kind of undergirded the thing of, some of this is serious, but it doesn't have to be that serious. It can be fun. It can be kind of lighthearted. So
I
I've
love
kept the
it. Yeah.
name just because it's my thing. And what was the other question you had? Sorry.
It's just what inspired you, really. I mean, you got you're got a great gardening experience you're building up and everything, and you want to go and share. You start Garden Zaddy. And like you said, you didn't
Mhm.
expect it to be what it is and anything. But was there something that just kind of was like, hey, I need to get out there and kind of share this experience, or just for fun kind of thing, or
I found that really early on, it taught me a lot. So I really started sharing videos over on TikTok specifically before I really knew what I was doing. I was just documenting the journey, and I would get such great feedback. And I think what's kept me going is, that people are or it's much easier to get into gardening when you see every stage of the process, when you see people failing, when you get those great tips from people who've been doing it for a while, or when you get
Mhm.
someone who's kind of come in fresh and has a new way of doing it that, maybe the way you've been growing tomatoes for 20 years could, be inspired by something new. So I think I just really enjoy documenting and showing every part of the process, both the beautiful harvests and then, the
Mhm.
seedling that didn't root right and burnt to a crisp. And
Yeah.
so I just love being able to encourage people to grow in every which way and show the process, both the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And again, too, awesome stuff. I really enjoy what you do with your social media. You make some pretty
Thank you.
good clips and reels and things, and give us a really good sense of your garden experience. And real quick, do you have any advice or tips for new gardeners out there?
My advice would be start
Mhm.
something and you're definitely going to fail. And that's a good thing. I
There you
think
go.
the more people push into failure and that's what you really learn from. If everything goes right for you, you're not going to have that breadth of experience and that tenacity. So plant something and roll with the punches. And if you run into problems, I guarantee you someone out there has had the same issue, if not thousands of people. So there's a way to get through it. You just got to get started.
Excellent. That's right. Absolutely. That's a perfect advice. I always try to tell people that too, among other things, though, too, is just be prepared to allow things to not work out. You know what I
Spot
mean?
on.
Just take on the experience, enjoy it, especially those first times growing some things they're not going to work out. And I also shared some experience just the other week with new gardeners. I was helping out with some things and giving them some advice and everything, and then ultimately they didn't go with the advice. Right. So then there's also that sort of sense for us experienced gardeners too, is also, to be a little humble and sit back also too sometimes and let people have their journey and have that experience
Absolutely.
too, as much as we want to jump in there and get them
Right.
to change things or do things. Sometimes maybe that's just the better thing for them, is to have that experience and kind of, be there for them when it's time to, answer the questions. Why didn't this work
Clarify.
out, or why am I having trouble with this here, that sort of stuff, and help them along the journey. But we don't need to go and change it up too much, because it is those sort of
Right.
experiences that are really going to make us stronger gardeners down the road.
Absolutely.
Right
Absolutely.
on, right on. Are you wearing your Los Angeles Dodgers shirt here?
Close. Los Angeles florist. So on theme for the day.
Oh, perfect. Okay, just down a little bit below. I was like, wait a minute, he's got a Dodgers one. I was just thinking too about I'm a big baseball fan. Most people know
nice.
I'm a big baseball fan. I start off every spring with my spring season, when the first day of baseball and opening of spring, and I wear my jersey for the show. And I was just thinking about Shohei Ohtani and Cal Raleigh, my catcher. Chasing Shohei Ohtani for the major league lead in home runs right now. It's amazing.
I know. I just went to a game last week with some friends. I'm admittedly probably not as big of a fan as you are. I'm more for the experience, but it's a great time regardless.
Oh man, there's nothing like being at a big Major League Baseball stadium and enjoying a baseball game. That's for sure. Even if it's just for the experience when it comes down to it. But right on. Real quick before I let you go, tell viewers where we can find you, and of course, or more about where we can find you and what you've got coming up. Maybe you got some future projects or anything like that you might have, you want to let us know about. And again, to everybody, we can always find those links right down below in the description too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're at my favorite place in a sense. So this is where I'm trying to really push the most. I just had a video come out today, but you can also find me on every other platform, just at Garden Zaddy. The only exception is Instagram, where there's a little hey before. So that's Hey Garden Zaddy, but Facebook, TikTok, again, YouTube, Garden Zaddy, and then Hey Garden Zaddy on Instagram.
Yeah. Excellent, man. Good stuff too, man. And I really enjoyed the conversation today and getting to meet you here. And hopefully we'll get you back on. We'll get you back on for another one of maybe our roundtable shows and digging a little bit more into what you've got growing on in your garden there. But always great to meet new gardeners. And like I said, everybody, we've got links right down below in the description to Garden Zaddy. Go and go find one of those recent videos that he's got there and let him know that you saw him here on the Let's Get Growing show.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And again, thank you so much for being here and taking your time to be with us here on the show.
My pleasure.
All right. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. Thanks, man.
Bye.
Hey, gardeners. Thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits.
The answer to this week's trivia question is D. Oregon Giant, Little Marble, and Green Arrow are all different varieties of peas. Meanwhile, Sugar Baby is a variety of watermelon. Thanks for watching. Head over to Sarah's Seed Shop where you can find garden seeds at unbeatable prices. Enjoy the rest of the show and have a great day.
All right, everybody. I saw everybody's guesses and everything when it came to Sarah's trivia question after we asked the question. And it was one of those ones where I was like, when I did it, and maybe, I don't know, I was like, oh, Sarah's taking it easy on us this week. And then I saw everybody putting in their questions and wondering, man, maybe she did put out something that was pretty challenging. So way to go, Sarah. Really, really, really great there. And again, congratulations to Sarah there for her engagement, as we just mentioned a little bit earlier in the show. And go and support Sarah over at sarahseedshop.com. Sarah has some really great heirloom essential seeds that she sells out of her shop. And as I tell everybody all the time, you're never going to find a better deal to get more of a great value on some of those essential seeds in your garden. Always a great value over there at Sarah's Seed Shop. So definitely go and support a great young entrepreneur. And yeah, right on. Congratulations, Sarah. Thanks for the trivia question this week. And yeah, right on. We've got a great guest coming up here with us here in just a minute. I just wanted to say a few things. Our guest has been on with us a couple of times, but I just wanted to kind of share this kind of quick story real quick here because first before I really dig into that, I mentioned earlier I used to listen to our next guest during breaks at work years and years ago, just to listen to him talk about gardening and all that sort of stuff before I really even had a garden of my own. And really, when it comes down to it, everybody in the Pacific Northwest really just really loves this gentleman a lot. I mean, he's a real treasure, as I said on our thumbnail, of the Pacific Northwest, and we are so fortunate to be able to have him here on the show. And for me especially, though, too, because I took on this journey on YouTube to get started sharing my garden adventure and my journey, just to kind of do it as I ask all of our guests, as we're talking about their garden stories and stuff. And I've shared mine with you guys many different times as well, but more of the journey getting onto YouTube and to putting myself out there. It's one thing to be a gardener and get out in the garden and do all that sort of stuff, but it's another thing to really kind of put yourself out there. You know what I mean? And to share, with a wider audience when it comes down to it. And for me, when it came, I was just initially thinking about the idea of what I could do to transform my old live streams I used to do years ago into something that would be a little bit more fun and engaging. And then, it was the very first ideas I was having about doing this show. And I remember I wanted to, I was up at the Seattle Flower and Garden Show several years ago, and many years ago, in fact, now that I think about it. But I was up there, and I went to go and hang out and wait for one of Ciscoe's book signings after the show there. And he's got a big long line, and it takes forever to get through all the people to sign all these books, because like I said, people love Ciscoe and they want to talk to him. They want to get their moment and get him to sign a book and all that. And I sat and I waited through all that thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to get Ciscoe for just like 5-10 minutes, maybe get him to sit for a little quick interview with me. And man, poor Ciscoe, he was already just done for the day. And it was like, and I totally felt for it. I understood completely, but he was often heading out to, head out for the day, and he had to walk all the way out to his car and carry all of this stuff to get to his car to head home and everything. And I just offered to help carry some stuff. And he let me carry some stuff out to the car for him and sat and gave me some, and I asked him about, and I talked to him about this idea of this show, and this idea of what I wanted to do and putting myself out there a little bit more than what I was doing. And he was so really encouraging to me. And this is one of the things is that we get to see him on television and everything and get to see what he does. And he's really just a genuine person, just like that in person, and gave me such a really great advice. And so that was, and here's a little snapshot from that day. In fact, this was right before I was getting ready to leave him here. He was getting ready to get into his car and take off and everything. But, that was that day. And I went on, and I put the kind of idea on the shelf for a little bit, and went and did some other things with the channel and some companies I was working with for a little while. A couple of years later, though, I revisited the idea, and I really, really wanted to do, get in and do it. And we were planning it and getting everything, and we were set to launch this show and do it. And so I went back up to the National Flower and Garden, Seattle Flower and Garden Show again to go up there to we were going kind of on a promotion. We're going to promote the show. We're going to do some things, but of course I got to go see Ciscoe and see his talk and everything. I was there with our good friend Mark Boucher Colbert, who was with us when we interviewed Ciscoe for our book club. But so I ran into Ciscoe right as he was getting ready to go into his talk and everything, and I thought it was so cool because, for one, he was really, really encouraging and really, really awesome with the advice that he gave me and everything. But here I am, I'm coming back around this next time around, and I catch him just before he goes into his talk for the Seattle Flower and Garden Show. And I just couldn't believe it, but he remembered who I was. He remembered that I had my YouTube channel and everything, and he asked me how my show was going. I didn't even say anything or mention. He asked me how my show was going, and I said, Ciscoe, I'm about to launch it. We're about to get going with this show. It's a great idea. You gave me such great advice and encouragement, and I thanked him and everything. And then he turned to me and he says, hey, you send me an email, and I'll come and be on your show if you want and everything. And I said, dude, that would be the best thing ever. And so we did, and we had him on the show a couple of years back. It was really, really great. He's always such a big, huge inspiration to me. So everybody, let's welcome my good friend, everybody's good friend, to the show, Ciscoe Morris. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh la la.
Ooh la la, there we are. I was waiting for it. Yes.
All right. Hi, nice to see you.
Awesome. So great to have you. Thank you for coming back.
Well, it was really fun hearing that story about the Flower and Garden Show. I remember meeting you.
Yes. It was so fun. Oh, looks like we got a sound playback there. Do you have like headphones at all?
Well, I do. I could put headphones on if you want me to.
I think we're just getting a playback from my sound. I think it's coming from the maybe some headphones if you do.
Well, here, let me.
Sorry about that, Ciscoe.
No, that's all right. I had some headphones in here. Did that change anything?
Yeah, if we put some headphones on, it'll keep from me from playing back on your side.
So I should put them on.
Yeah, and then if you can connect them. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, let me try that.
Awesome. Let's give Ciscoe just a second here, put that on there so I'm not echoing back again, though, too. But again, like I said, though, too, again, Ciscoe, such great advice. Let's see here. Let me put you back on real quick here. All right, let's hear. I can hear you there.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay, good. Now, okay, no problem. Sorry about that. There's just a little echo there coming out from me, so everybody's hearing me twice anyways. So they get enough of me as it is, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Right on. Excellent. Thank you for coming back and being back on the show. We've had such a great time with you before here on the show. That first time as well, like you said, when I got to launch this whole thing, and having you on was such a huge deal for me. And then again, when Mark and I decided to do the book club, it was great to have you back again to highlight your book, Ooh La La. In fact, I got your books right here. I want to make sure I can show those off to everybody as well too. We got Ooh La La and Ask Ciscoe that you can find out there as well too. A couple of great books. But yeah, thanks again for being here.
It's too
Pumping
great
you up
being
today.
here.
It really
This is
is
great. It's even threatening to rain out, so I don't even want to be out in the garden.
Oh, perfect. We giving you an excuse to stay
Yeah.
away and to stay dry right up there too. I was mentioning earlier, we've been getting just hit straight up with summer. We just got our last frost date down here in Southern Oregon, just past our last frost date, and I just had upper 80s, and then yesterday it was 91 for our high.
Oh my gosh. Oh, get out the sprinklers.
I know. I'm out there like crazy trying, because most of my stuff is container gardening. I do have a lot of these really cool like wicking containers that really help out. I don't have to worry about really keeping them soaked throughout most of the time, but I still have a lot of other containers. I got to make sure don't dry out on me. Not this early anyways in the season.
Oh yeah, I've been watering like crazy already here in Seattle, which is bizarre. It's supposed to rain today, and I don't think it's gonna do it. I'm really mad at Mama Nature.
I know it is this time for me. That's my exact attitude this time of year, always, because that's what happens for me here in Southern Oregon. Is there some point where you get a rain, right? We had one a few weeks back. You get a rain, but you see in the forecast, it looks like there'll be a little bit more rain up here, and then maybe a little more rain, and then that rain becomes your last rain because you get closer to that day, and then all of a sudden it disappears. It's not happening. But now, okay, wait, no, a little bit more rain, possibly down a week or so from now. Okay, come on. All right, hopefully we get closer, and there it disappears again. And then there it goes for the whole season. And for us down here, it could be until September before we see rain again. Not for you up there in Seattle, though.
It doesn't. Well, it'll rain till May. But once we hit May, we don't get over about 6 inches of rain till the end of September. So, and right now everything's growing so fast, so it really needs water.
Yeah, it really does. You're right. And really, because we are in that, because we've got a lot of young plants out there, especially for a lot of us with annuals and things like that. They're just little seedlings. These little root systems are just cruising along trying to grow, and you know what I mean. They need that water. You can't dry them up at all, and that's that water is essential right now.
Yeah, I hate it when I lose a plant too, because as you know, our garden is divided between my wife and I.
A line right down the middle.
Yeah, well, our first garden was right down the middle. People would come over, we stand shoulder to shoulder and go, which side do you like the best? And I know she was bribing all those people that kept voting for her side,
Yeah, I know. Oh no, look at this over here though. You got to check this out.
Oh yeah, but I have to admit, I probably have out in my driveway, because since I have to divide the garden between my wife and my wife Mary, I probably have at least 20 pots out in the driveway with plants in them. So that's a lot of hand watering,
Yeah, it is a lot of hand watering. It's a lot of again too, you got to be sure that they're getting the water that they need. But also, again, too, the young seedlings. I've been mentioning the last week or so, because even with us as experienced gardeners, Ciscoe, and I know you got to be getting busy with a lot of stuff and on your itinerary too. So this time of year, we've got young seedlings out there and a lot of other things going on in our garden.
Man,
right?
That's the truth.
So it gets to be too easy to turn our back a minute, right? And then go a day or so later, oh, wait a minute, those tomato seedlings I left back there.
I hate it when that happens.
And then you go and find them all shriveled down to the soil, just done for. And you're like, oh, no. And that happened to me this year. And so now I have to reset, start all over. Because I like to get an early start to the tomatoes for sure with all the heat and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And now I get, and then luckily for me, Ciscoe, and this is a cool thing too, we like to talk about here on the show, is building community in gardening, right? So it's fun to build community here online, but local community is your best, because I had a friend right down the road, our good friend Adam, who is usually in our chat with us here, showed up this last week with good tomato starts that he had all hardened off, nice
Woo-hoo.
big set ready to go.
Oh,
You know
mamma
what I mean?
mia.
Showed up with a bunch of different varieties and everything and rescued me, Ciscoe.
Oh, yeah, that was lucky.
Yeah. Woo.
Woo-hoo.
Because I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
I love growing tomatoes in pots. I
Yes.
grow them in our garden, but we trade off every year who gets to do the veggie garden at our house.
Mhm. Yeah.
So this is my non-veggie garden year. So I've got tomatoes in pot, probably
Yeah.
some Brussels sprouts pretty soon, you
Oh,
know.
so your
Gotta grow those good
side
things.
veggie garden, the ones you can't get into the other one because she's got the space this
Yeah,
year.
she's
Oh,
got
that's
she
what
gets to
a
choose what goes in that one, and she hates Brussels sprouts. She calls them my little boogers. Now that is really mean.
that is, I'm telling you. That was one of the things I didn't mention about that conversation that we had too when I was walking you to the car, is that you gave me all that great advice about doing the show and getting in front of the camera and just doing that sort of stuff. But we ended the conversation with some good Brussels sprout advice.
They're the hardest veggie to grow.
They really
They
are.
always get full of aphids. They
Mhm.
hate heat. They
They-
want sun, but they hate heat. They're
Yep.
tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really for me, the key down here, and I've had a couple of seasons where it kind of worked out a little bit for me, but because they take so long, and you need to have them ready to go like right as the season cools down, because like you said, they don't like the heat very much. But what I've done is I've just kind of had to put them in a good spot that I know is going to be shady enough during that time of year to kind of try to keep as much of the sun direct heat off of them, and try to keep them alive is the biggest thing through the summer heat season.
Yeah,
Because when they're kind of like, it's too hot for me, that's when aphids love it, right?
oh, those aphids,
love it
they
when they're a
hide
little
under
weak.
the leaves. And if you're
Yeah.
not watching for those guys, they
Mhm.
wait right when the sprouts start to form and just run in there.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
you know, so I always have a hose end nozzle out there with my hose. And I'm always looking under the leaves and blasting them off. And that helps a lot.
Yeah, it
And
does.
if you don't get all the aphids out of them, you can put them in salt water, and most
Salt-
of the aphids come out and float on the top. That might be, after seeing me do that, might be why my wife doesn't really like Brussels sprouts.
No, let me. Okay, now you've piqued my salty Brussels sprouts.
Oh yeah, but that does get the aphids to get out of there.
Yeah, I want to. Okay, you piqued my interest here though too. I'm thinking a technique, because this would have to be kind of in a container, right?
Or no,
'cause
this is when you're eating them.
when
Right
you're eating
before
them.
you eat them, you just throw them in
Oh, I
salt
see.
water.
Oh, because I'm
Yeah.
imagining like you're taking your plant and you're like dunking it in some salt, and then like
I'm not sure that would do a lot of good for those Brussels
I'm
sprouts.
like I don't know if that's gonna work.
No, I haven't tried that technique yet.
I know, but no, good spraying them down and just getting on top of them when you notice
Yeah,
them,
if you
and
can
just
keep
water them
those
down.
aphids are there. The aphids are waiting. Nobody sees them because they're hiding under those leaves.
Yeah, and that's the key for me though. It's just kind of making sure that I can keep the plants healthy enough and alive enough throughout that warm part of the summer, and then as soon as it cools down, they just start going.
Oh
As soon
yeah.
as they start feeling it, they start picking, and then they'll go and they'll go and they'll go. And then now we've kind of getting into the cooler season, the bug pressure's a lot less and everything. And then we've got, like I said, September, October, and in November, we've given them all that long amount of time that they're really needed. to get in there. And then when you're into like late November, December, and you're starting to get some of those frosty
Oh, that
days,
makes them so sweet.
they
Oh,
just they burst. They kind of like have a little burst too, a little bit of like,
yeah.
because they juice up with that sweetness. Those sugars kind of plump them up a little bit, right? And then they're perfect, and then they're good. And I've had 2 good seasons, Cisco, and I think
Oh,
of you
that's
every
pretty
time when
good.
I get to eat them.
Yeah, there's some years they're great, some years they're that dud of
Yeah,
history. I'll still eat them, but they're little teensy dang things, you know.
Mhm. And it comes down to that pressure again too. It's one or the other. The heat pressure is just going to be too much for the plant, or the bug pressure is going to take them down too much, and then I'm not going to have. But if I can get them through that, I know I can get a good crop off.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I try every year. I don't care. I'm determined every year.
Yeah, I haven't got any going this year yet, but I will.
Let's see here. Dusty Flats mentions, have you heard what's horticultural oil? Is this something you know of here?
Oh yeah, there's okay, so neem oil is one people are using all the time. Comes
Neem
from the
oil.
azadactyrin tree from India,
Okay.
which is they've been using neem products.
Okay.
They didn't call them neem, it is azadactyrin then, in India for thousands of years
Oh,
as
okay. Yeah,
pest
yeah.
control. And so there's 2 kinds of products that come out of the neem tree. One is neem oil, which is really safe, and you can spray it on your roses, and it stops black spot from hitting roses. And you could spray it on aphids. Now, I don't think I'd spray it on the Brussels sprouts, because
Right.
I'm not sure what would happen if you do that. And it might even make an oily flavor on them or something if you ate them too soon. But so you
Right.
could spray that on the leaves. And then there's oil made out of petroleum, horticultural spray oils. I used to use those at Seattle University. They're real safe for the environment
Okay.
because
Yeah.
they break down in less than a week. So if you spray horticultural oil up in your tree, I used to get them to get aphids off spruce trees.
Okay.
Spruce trees are the worst trees for the Pacific Northwest or ever were.
Yeah.
And they get an aphid in the middle of winter around Christmas sometimes. And when I worked at Seattle University, we had so many of these spruce trees there, you know, that somebody else planted before I got there. Most
Yeah.
of them are gone now, by the way, because I cut them down. But
Yeah. You slowly work those things out of there, huh?
but that spray is really good for getting aphids. And so, but a bird could fly in and land on a branch you just sprayed. It isn't going to hurt the bird at all. So that's why I like the horticultural oil sprays. The only problem was I didn't know the first time I did it that it turns blue spruces green.
Really?
The blue totally goes away.
Oh,
The
wow.
administration had a fit. All our blue spruces were green all over campus. But when the new growth came out in the spring, it was dark blue, and it looked so good against that green background that I took total credit for it. I said, I knew that was going to happen. You know?
You got to do that, right?
Oh yeah, you're not kidding.
That's so great. Yeah. So yeah, then okay, so the neem oil is a little different than these other horticultural oils.
They squeeze that out of the fruit of the neam tree, and it's a really good product, but it does kill beneficial insects. So you got if you're gonna spray it on your Brussels sprout or something, if there's some lady beetles on there eating aphids, don't spray, you know, just move the ladybugs.
Yeah, we were kind of touching on that with our previous guest, Aaron, about integrated pest management. This idea that we got to allow for nature, and we've talked about this before when you're on the show before and all of that too. But these are really important strategies for a strong, healthy garden, because ultimately, like I said, and I was mentioning to Aaron too, is I resist sprays in general for anything ultimately, because I don't want to take the risk of taking out beneficials.
Yeah.
Because beneficials really do play such an important part of my overall garden's ecosystem.
Same here. And,
Yeah.
spraying something that kills everything would be, I can't even imagine doing that, because if you,
Yeah.
in a typical garden, there are 1,000 different types of insects and bugs. I'll add, arachnids and things. And of those 1,000 type, typically only 10 types of insects are harmful to humans in any way. So if we're trying to kill, if we spray something that kills everybody to kill maybe one bug that's causing trouble, we kill 990 good guys in the process. It wouldn't make sense.
I was going to say, you say there's only this many dangerous insects or bugs out there, and I'll say that they're all in Australia too.
Oh boy, Australia, they got
everything that's deadly.
Spiders and snakes.
Anything that is deadly, if you look at like the top of the deadliest anything that's out there, the top ones are going to be in Australia. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't
I was
matter what it
hiking
is.
with my wife Mary there, and I almost stepped on this gigantic snake. It was black on top with a red belly. So I go into this little store near there, and I go, boy, I almost stepped on a snake. He goes, what'd it look like? And I told him, he goes, that's a red belly black snake. That gets one person a year in this neighborhood.
Oh my gosh.
Oh la la.
Whoa.
My wife screamed just in time before I stepped on it. So.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow.
It probably would have killed the snake to bite me though.
Oh right. There you go. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I know. Australia is one of my, just dreams to be able to go and
I love
check out Australia. But man, I would make sure I had a guidebook of everything that was deadly with me, so I could be aware. I would be aware and watching and looking out. I read. Have you ever read Bill Bryson's book?
Oh gosh, yeah.
In a Sunburned Country.
Yeah.
So fun, so funny, but he talks about a lot of these deadly things in his experiences too, like with the jellyfish and just all sorts of things. It's crazy.
He talked about the fly hatch.
Yeah.
So I was down on the Great Garden Road in Australia. We had a rental car. If the wind comes from the center of Australia, these flies hatch. There are billions of them.
Oh my
you
gosh.
Get out, they're all, and they try and they don't bite, but they try and get in every orifice you have.
Like a fly, just, oh my gosh.
I looked at my wife, Mary. She had at least 60 of them in her hair, on her back.
Oh no.
It only lasted 3 days. Thank God. Oh my God. It was so horrible. People get out of their car and just start screaming.
I can't imagine. Oh, I've been in Alaska, and I've seen some really, really crazy mosquito swarms.
Oh.
Like, really dark black clouds, because it's so thick of just billions of them flying in that motion that birds and those things do when they're in big groups, and they're heading towards you, and you're like, I don't gotta get away.
I'll deal with a grizzly before I deal with one of those. In Wisconsin, there were so many mosquitoes, they flew away with babies.
It was a joke that we'd say to people in Alaska too. They called it the Alaskan state bird.
Oh yeah, they're horrible, and those horse flies.
Oh gosh,
gosh, they're so big. So you're a baseball fan.
Big time.
Here, I was watching a Mariner game.
Oh yeah,
listening to a Mariner game, and Dave Niehaus, the announcer,
my man,
he was back in Wisconsin where I grew up. announcing the game, and all of a sudden he
For the
went,
Brewers, maybe.
and
Yep.
we were the Mariners were playing the
And the
Brewers,
Excellent.
and even though it was
Interleague play.
Yeah, interleague play. And all of a sudden I hear him go, "Look at the size of that fly." And he starts running around. It was the biggest horsefly he had ever seen.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm telling you.
He's like, "I'm getting out of here."
And I tell people all this all the time about like my fear of like bees and things from when I was young and I got stung by a bee and everything. So I was one of those kids that, I was always whenever a bee was around. But if it was one thing, I would run if it was a bee, right? But if it was a horsefly, I would run and scream.
Horseflies, they take a chunk, it bleeds.
Yeah, they're just it's the most awful thing ever. They're awful.
Yeah.
Ugh.
The good part is they're dumb though. So they take a long time. You could swat them, get rid of them.
Right.
Do them in.
Yeah. Do them in real quick.
There's
Hopefully catch them. There's
a famous story of when I was a kid. So I was always into plants. And I was growing a Venus flytrap back in Wisconsin. And I had it under a plastic thing because they need such high humidity, So I had it under a plastic thing. But if I caught a fly, I was always trying to catch flies and yellow jackets, and I'd throw them in there. And then pretty soon they'd go in the big modified leaf, and Venus flytrap would get it. But I was feeding the Venus flytrap too much hamburger and stuff. I was kind of a dumb kid, So my Venus flytrap was getting weak. I could tell it wasn't going to live too long. Well, this huge horsefly landed on my arm. I barely hit it, stunned it, stuck it under the plastic cover.
Oh, yes.
And pretty soon it landed on the modified leaf, and the modified leaf grabbed the big horsefly. All day they fought.
Yeah.
The fly, all day long. Would,
right.
The Venus flytrap hung on to it. At the end of the day, the Venus flytrap opened up. The horsefly flew out, and the Venus flytrap died. Oh la la! I am.
It was too much for that.
Over that to this day.
That thing fought in there to get out.
It was
man.
the battle of the century.
Drew Black says, "What was God thinking to create the fly?" I kind of get the general fly. You know what I mean? We got flies for decomposition, especially soldier flies are amazing for a garden and that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah. And,
but those horse flies, those biting flies, there's no need for that.
No, there isn't. I don't know. Just to torture people. I'm sure of that.
Torture people.
But syrphid flies, now there you're talking a good guy right there. And tachinid flies. Both of those are beneficial insects that do in so many harmful insects. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
The syrphid fly, it's blind, and it's a little green, looks like a caterpillar, but it's a maggot. And it taps around on the leaf, and if it finds an aphid, picks it up and sucks the juice out of it like a living milkshake. It's so cool. The aphid's like, but it's too late.
I'm telling you, that would be kind of like that would be so fun. I think someone is somewhere who's got like the ability to get some really, really good, like microscopic close-ups of stuff like that. That would make a fun video, don't you think?
Oh,
like
that would
a ladybug just kind of, because I've seen like ladybugs just kind of grab them and just go bite up,
gobble them up.
Yeah, and they don't eat ladybugs. Don't even eat the whole things either, do they? I mean, they just kind of take a bite or two on one and then grab another
legs
one,
laying there, antennas,
another one, and just kind of...
So here's what I say: aren't you glad we're not bugs?
Exactly.
If we were bugs, we'd be all the time looking around for something that's going to try and eat us.
I talked to a soil biologist who was telling me, he says, we think about as humans about like the world we live in, and sometimes we think of like how violent and how harmful and all that sort of stuff that we can see with our own eyes in life and all that sort of stuff, even through nature, that sort of thing. But this soil biologist was like, if you could be a microorganism and be inside of soil, you would be seeing the most horrific, you would be living the most horrific horror show constantly throughout your whole life, because everywhere you turn is just something eating something, just devouring something and doing something everywhere. It's just all mayhem. But the cool thing about all of that just crazy mayhem, Ciscoe, is the balance it creates, right?
Yeah, it's wonderful. It really does do a good job. Well, at Seattle University, when I was there, here, I got to hit a button here. I'm not sure what this is about, but there.
You're good on my side too.
It just told me I had to increase my storage size, so I did.
Oh,
so
no.
I think
Okay.
I'm okay. But at Seattle U, I watched bugs. I collected tent caterpillars because I knew tachnid flies laid eggs on them. I would bring in 100 of them, put them in my office at Seattle U in an aquarium. And then I could watch to see if we had a lot of tachnid flies helping get rid of the tent caterpillars. And then we wouldn't spray BT, a naturally occurring bacteria, which is very safe. We wouldn't even spray it if we had enough. The only problem was the janitor opened up the aquarium to see what was in it, and he got scared and ran out.
Oh, no.
And unbeknown to me, they escaped. And when I came to work in the morning, I had a boss that was really picky about our wine red rug between our offices. There were big yellow blotches all over from me accidentally stepping on the caterpillars because I didn't see them. And the worst part was I had to go in there. My boss gave me a big lecture about keeping bugs in the office and everything. The worst part was I was in his office about 2 weeks later, or about a week later, and we're having a meeting. I start looking around, and in all the window sills and everything are all these cocoons.
Oh, right.
They all made little pupa cases all over, and about a week later I hear Ciscoe. I come out my office, there's moths flying off. Yeah,
wonderful.
It's dangerous to store insects.
What a treat you gave them.
Oh yeah, well,
to be able to see nature up close like that. I mean, really.
I love it. I used to go around and teach kids about bugs at grade schools. So I had all kinds of live bugs in my office all the time, Oh, it was so fun. Oh, geez. But I had
it's one thing I can't wait for my granddaughter, so I can get her around the garden and show her all these cool bugs and teach her about bugs at a young age.
That's what counts. Kids are terrified of bugs because their parents tell them they're terrible. But once they get to know them, they think they're pretty darn cool.
Yeah, my daughter, she loves spiders.
Oh, that's cool.
Jumping spiders are her favorite spiders.
They are neat.
Yeah, and you just got to take that little girl when she's little and she's, oh my God, a spider, and you just show her how it works and all of that. Sort of like what you were talking about with the with that horsefly and your Venus flytrap. You go and stun a fly somehow with a little swatter, and you grab that sucker and you go, hey, look, you go and show her and you toss that thing onto the web there and you let her watch that go and her eyes get big. And next thing you know, they have a whole different perspective on that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta get them while they're young, right?
That's so important. Yeah, get them while they're young. If anybody watching this, if you got kids, turn them on to bugs. They're the coolest thing there ever was.
Yeah.
Bugs are cool to watch. I mean, like you said, if you can watch a ladybug eat an aphid, la la, that is so exciting. Better than anything you'll see on nature.
I mean, And the crazy thing is, Ciscoe, here we are, huge nature lovers, right? But then we could just really, it's just, why, let me see an aphid just go down. Let me see these things that just wreak havoc on my garden just get taken out. And I love it, you know?
Well, the eek squish bug, that's that big ground beetle called a carabid beetle. It's kind of the iridescent black beetle, about an inch long. I call it the eek squish bug because you pick up a rock or a log and out comes this beetle. And what do people do? Eek! Squish!
Right. Oh,
Put
don't.
the size 7 on it. That
Yeah.
beetle has bad breath because
Oh.
it eats slugs.
Oh, God,
Now,
yeah.
most of them only eat baby slugs, the slug eggs, but there's
Yeah.
one called the slug snail destroyer. It's
Mhm.
real streamlined and kind of the color of a walnut.
Yeah.
I've seen that thing take on 5-inch long slugs in my garden. Now
Really?
that is exciting. Slugs
Yes, it
flying
is.
everywhere.
Yes.
Oh,
I know.
that's exciting.
Yeah, and that really makes sense, right? You find them right there in the crooks and crevices of rocks or your brickwork and things like that,
Yeah.
because that's where your slugs are hiding and laying their eggs too, right? Makes so
Yeah.
much sense. Yep, exactly. But yeah, again too, I just love that how we could just love the terror of some of these garden terrorists. It's just, it's reverse, you know what I mean? The only thing that you could really enjoy on that level are the things that wreak havoc and cause terror themselves. So
yeah, there's always going to be bad bugs out there causing trouble, but you just got to keep an eye out for them,
Yep. And that's and really ultimately comes down to, this is why we want to have a good relationship really with our garden spaces too, and why we want to be out there and really understanding our plants and getting a good eyeball on them on a regular basis to know, oh yeah, maybe these leaves are looking a little, they don't look quite right, so maybe I should look underneath, or I should get around the plant a little bit. Maybe there's something going on or something like that, because we want to be kind of aware with how our plants are growing, and so that we can be aware of the things, so we can get a good early catch on these sort of things that can do it.
My favorite form of pest control, I like going out at night with my flashlight. You can spot slugs, but also cutworms. Cutworms hide in the garden in the day, come out at night, and they could be 1.25 inches long.
Yeah.
And so if I spot one of those, the best for everybody watching, the best form of pest control is called El Kabatsky Pest Control.
Yes.
That's where you insert the insect between thumb and forefinger, and you have to yell El Kabatsky as you squish for the full effect.
Yes. El Kabatsky. Yes. That's right. That is one of the best ones. Just get in there and rub and crush and squish and just get the El Kabatsky.
If it's a really big cutworm, hold it far away when you do it.
Oh, yes, exactly. And also another one, you got your flashlight, but another light is a black light. Well, is good too, because black lights will really just like light some of those cutworms and some of those things right up. Just like
I've never done that. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, you remember those old black light posters? I bet you remember those.
Yeah. I had a black light in my in my hippie days for sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it's the same thing with some of these bugs. They have this iridescence to them to a level where the black lights pick them up. Yeah, give that a shot. That'll be fun. You can share that with King 5 or whoever, Megan next time.
I'm gonna do that. I gotta figure out where I can buy one, but
get somebody to hang
flashlight type.
And then you got to get someone to hang out with you with a little video camera at night, just so you could get a little.
That'll be fun. My producer's gonna love this.
That's a good one. Yeah, you let them know it came straight from the Urban Gardener.
I'll tell her for sure.
That's great stuff. You mentioned, and I wanted to ask you, because I was thinking about this too, because you mentioned again too, back to that horsefly and your Venus flytrap. I've tried growing these things a few different times. Do you got it? Have you had real good success, or I know you were saying that one was kind of on its way out, or at all, or anything
Venus
like that?
flytraps are so hard to grow. You got to
Yeah.
have, if you had a greenhouse, it wouldn't be too hard. But if
Right.
you don't, and you don't have high humidity,
That's what I,
then
yep.
that's why I had the plastic. I kept it alive for a whole summer. And it
Mhm.
probably would have survived if I wasn't such a dumb kid and showed off by putting hamburger in there half the time when my friends came over. But they're like growing them outside. So I have a lot of bog gardens out in pots, and I
Mhm.
grow Sarracenias, which are
Yeah.
those what do they call
Pitchers.
those? Pitcher plants. And
Yeah.
the plant goes in. There's something interesting about Sarracenias, pitcher
Mhm.
plants. So you got to make a bog. So you drill holes in the top of the pot a quarter of the way down. You fill
Yeah.
the pot with perlite, 50-50 perlite and potting soil.
Yeah.
Peat moss. And then I keep a cup in there and I pour the water in there. So I got these spectacularly beautiful pitcher plants,
Mhm.
and they give off this sweet substance. And
Yeah.
when the flies and yellow jackets, I watch them all the time. They go up there. I'm pretty sure that, let me add this. So inside it's super slippery. So if the bug goes in there, it slips. It can't get its
Yeah.
footing. It falls down there, super sharp hairs.
Yeah.
There's no escape, and they end up in a cauldron of digestive juices. Oh la la!
More garden fun, right? We need a clip of that in our video clip, right? We got to get somehow this produced.
This you really need to get a clip, because I'm convinced there's a narcotic along the rim.
Something that just gets them.
Go up there, they start flashing peace signs and going, "Hey, peace, man, love." And once they go in, there's no rehab for those guys.
Oh my gosh!
They have bad habits. So
No.
I try to grow Venus flytraps in that. That's exact same conditions they like in nature. So what you've got is drenched down below where the pots are, where the holes are. And then the top quarter is like a bog. There's always water coming up, but it's never drenched. And so I've tried to grow Venus flytraps in there. I can't do it outside.
Flytraps are tough. I want to try some
really
of the. I want to try some of the Sarracenia as well too.
They are fun.
Honeydews are really cool, right? Are those the ones? Sundews, yes. Open up and then they curl them back up in there, and just
you know what I use those for? Fruit flies.
Oh yeah,
I always have fruit flies because I harvest a lot of fruit, bringing it in the fall, and I get those doggone fruit flies that are embarrassing. And I have a bunch of sundews in there, and they nail those fruit flies left and right. Sometimes they catch a great big fat housefly too, which is really exciting, you know.
yeah. I mean, that's like you said, it's some work for them, but man, it's so cool to see that what they can actually take and what they can do, and all those, like predatory plants in a sense, these are really, really interesting. But yeah, they all kind of seem to grow in these boggy conditions, high humidity. So you got to really have a setup that's kind of really almost kind of a locked in kind of setup for them, that you can really just push all of those conditions for them to make it right.
Sarracenias are native,
like a terrarium of some sort, or a large terrarium if you want more of them in a way, but like maybe kind of an enclosed type of fixture of some sort would probably work the best, huh?
Yeah, I think you could grow Venus flytraps in a terrarium really well.
Yeah. Oh, hey, real quick, Ciscoe, your microphone there, could we move it real quick? I think it got bumped a little bit. You want to move it a little closer to to you? Well, closer to your mouth there.
Is it still working now?
Yeah. So there you go.
Okay.
Someone was saying you got quiet. Someone said you got
There's a
quiet
little
in the
mute
chat
button
there.
on this, and I hit it now and then. I got to be careful.
Yeah.
Oh la
But
la.
yeah. Ooh la la. That's for sure. Right on. So how things growing in the garden this year?
Oh, it's going great. The garden's looking fantastic. Just had a tour the other day. It was really,
Mhm.
really fun.
Yeah.
Problem with my garden tours is they take hours because I have
Oh,
a story about every plant, every rock.
I think anytime, and I would say that's the same thing when it comes to, I think, any talk you give, especially if you've got pictures and things you got to share, is that you end up not being able to get to everything
yeah.
because each one takes such a good story with them.
It's so funny. At the flower garden show one year, I was doing my favorite plants.
Yeah.
I think I had 250 plants in that talk. I got to 15 and the talk was over.
And you probably had another 30 or 40 in your reel to go through.
Oh, there were so many more. They have a special hook for me at the flower garden show to get me off the stick.
The Ciscoe hook.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
so great. That's so great. And yeah, and that's something I did want to kind of dig in and talk with you about. Actually, I wrote down here was something we haven't really got to tap into and talk about too much. I mean, we touched on a little bit, but man, you are really well known, and we touched on this already in the Pacific Northwest and all of that, as we talked about earlier and everything. But man, you get yourself around the world too. And you do some pretty
Oh,
cool
yeah,
little these type of garden tours in different parts of the world,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
and that sort of stuff. And I'll just mention to anybody out there who might be interested, if you're out thinking of a vacation or you're doing something like that, you can hook up for one of those, I believe, down at Ciscoe.com, down in the link we got
Yeah.
down below for one of those that might be upcoming. But man, tell us a little bit about some of your more recent tours that you've done in some of these
Let's
cool
see.
places around the world.
Well, I just led one not long ago to Malta and Sicily.
Wow.
And oh boy, that was a lot of fun. And Malta is, even though it's in Africa, it seems more like it's in Europe because people from Sicily took it over. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so that was really great. And I led one this year to Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah.
And Costa
Man.
Rica is so
For
fun.
bird lovers too.
Yeah.
Woo.
And this is bugs and
Bugs is what
lizards
I
and,
bet.
oh, it's so cool. I
I suppose wherever you
love
got
it.
really cool birds, you got to have some cool bugs too, huh?
That's true. That's really true. And so that was a wonderful tour that I
Man.
enjoyed quite a bit. And then going to Japan this fall, and I've led one to Japan a couple years
Oh,
ago.
that would be.
That is a pretty darn cool
Oh
place. you
man,
know.
the Japanese gardens you can go see over there.
Yeah, it's a funny mix of modern and traditional. So
Yeah.
you'll go to you'll take the fastest train on earth to go to the oldest temple on earth.
Yes. That's great.
Yeah, it's cool. And in Malta, we visited the oldest temple on earth. It looks like a bunch of boulders piled on top
Yeah.
of each other, but you can go in. It's got rooms in it. They
Yeah.
don't have any idea who lived there, who used
Wow.
that temple, or what they did there. It's
Wow.
fascinating stuff, So
Unbelievable. The
yeah,
ancient
so
type of stuff like that. That's just so cool. Gotta
and
love those
I
types of places.
like going over these 6.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, it looks like we got a freeze here. Let's see here. I'm going to pull Ciscoe out for just a moment there. Looks like we got a freeze there. All the fun of doing a live show. Let's see if we can get Ciscoe maybe a reset there. You might have to reset or re-come back in or something there real quick here if we can. Oh my, we're having so much fun here with our live show. As I always say, it's always the fun of doing something live is when you have having things like that happen. But here he is. I think we got him back here real quick.
Yeah, I'm here.
There we
I
are.
hope for a
Ciscoe's back.
while. Oh, now I can see myself.
Oh, you can. Oh, perfect. Got a better
How about
connection. I
that?
can hear you
God,
even a
I'm
little
a pretty
better too.
good-looking guy.
You are. That's for sure. That's for sure. But yeah, I was just thinking about, you were talking about these really old temples and these old ancient things and stuff. I think one a really cool one. I just did an interview with an author who wrote a book called Oak Lore, and her book is about these ancient oaks in the UK.
Ooh.
Could can you imagine, again, like you're talking about these old ancient temples and stuff, but there are actually trees that are old and ancient that have been around throughout like so much of our almost modern human history, or even pre-modern human history, all the way back to like one of these oaks she was talking about in her book, all the way back to like the Shakespeare and the Magna Carta and these sort of times, you know what I mean? And they're still alive today, and you can go visit them and go, like you said, you go do tours and check these old trees out. It's just unbelievable.
I went to a garden, I can't think of the name of it right now, in Italy, and they have the oldest Italian cypress in the world in this garden. Yeah. It looks horrible because it's so beat up. And the reason it's so beat up is because like fools like me have to walk up and rub it so they know they touched the oldest tree on earth. I couldn't resist. I tried, but I couldn't. But, the history behind these trees, and this garden has quite a history. This place, a guy wanted to be Pope. Changed the whole river so that it would run his 500 fountains in his thing. Oh man. Yeah. So I have a bad feeling about my computer right now. It keeps asking me to allow more storage. So I hope I don't get dumped.
All right. Well, let's hope so. We're almost making it to the finish line here. We're pretty soon here anyways. But again, yeah, so much fun, talking to you about all this sort of stuff. You take all.
Well, let me tell you one story.
Please do, absolutely.
Okay, so I led a garden tour to England. We went to the Chelsea Flower and Garden Show. It was great. So the best things that happen are the unexpected. Yeah. So this woman, we're all in eating lunch. We come out. This woman walks up to me, an English woman, and she goes, "I hear you're leading a garden tour here." I go, "Yeah." She goes, "You want to see my private garden?" I go, "Yeah, we definitely do, Yeah. So she whispers in my ear. She goes, "There's one thing." She goes, "Nobody can look at my smalls." And I go, "Your smalls?" She goes, "My knickers hanging on the clothesline."
Oh.
So I turn to everyone and I go, "Hey, you guys, we get to see this woman's great garden, but you can't look at her knickers hanging on the clothesline." At the end of the day, when we were having dinner, I asked everybody in my tour group, I go, "What do you guys remember about that woman's nice garden that she let us see?" Everybody went, "The knickers!"
The knickers! Because everyone looked, didn't they?
You can't, if someone tells you not to look at something, you can't resist. That woman was a kick. The private garden tour she gave us was one of the best that we got on the whole trip,
Oh my.
That's the stuff that makes garden tours really fun.
Man, I'm telling you, it would be a dream for me. I'm telling you what, to be able to get a chance to go to some cool place around the world somewhere and hang out with Ciscoe Morris and look out some of the world's most amazing botanical fascinations out there. It's just wow.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I imagine. Tell me real quick though, the Costa Rica trip. And I know you have a hard time with one favorite. This is a hard thing for you, I know for sure. But tell me, what was your favorite thing you saw in Costa Rica when you were down there?
I'm trying to remember what was the coolest thing. One was the howler monkeys.
One. See how he started with one.
Yeah, and wouldn't you know, we were walking through this garden,
Yeah.
and the howler monkeys started doing their thing, and it's so loud you can't believe
Oh
it. They just
wow.
howl.
Yeah.
And we had a guide with us, and the
Mhm.
guide was trying to tell everybody, close your mouth and don't look up
Oh,
because
you
they poop on you.
right.
All of a sudden, all this poop was raining down, and people were like,
Oh no.
"Oh!"
So they look up like because they're like, oh, what's happening? Ah, it's
Yeah, that was one of my favorite stories. I'll never forget that. And there was another one. We went to the west coast, so the west coast of Costa Rica, along
yeah.
the Pacific, and maybe that was the East Coast, but so no, the West Coast. So we went to this hotel where they had carved out seating on the
Mm,
cliff,
yeah.
and we were sitting there having a cocktail, watching red macaws fly right
Oh.
by us as they played classical music, and
Mm.
they flew within 10 feet of us, a whole flock of red macaws,
Oh wow.
scarlet macaws. I look over at my wife. She is just crying. Tears are just
Mm.
running down her. That's a memory I will never,
Ah,
ever, ever forget. Oh,
man.
and one other
Mhm.
are the what bark bats. So the bark
Oh
bats line up in a straight line.
yeah.
It went about 12 feet up this tree of all these bats.
Yeah.
And and the reason they line up like that, right behind one another, is if a predator tries to get them, they start to go like a snake. And the
Oh.
predator thinks they're a snake and
Oh.
doesn't eat any of them.
Oh,
That's
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, and one other thing, you know, cut
Mm.
leaf philodendrons,
Mm.
they have those growing all over down there. And they
Oh,
climb,
that's
what happens is they climb to the top of a tree, and then
yeah.
they shoot seeds down, and a new one will start and it climbs the tree. I
Yeah.
never knew why those cut leaf philodendrons have those cuts in the leaves. It's
Right.
because they don't want to kill the tree they're climbing. They
Oh.
want the tree to survive, but they're so big and full, they would
y-
block all the light and kill all the leaves as they climb up the tree. Because it takes them year after year to keep climbing, and all below them is a million leaves. So they
Wow.
have to cut leaves to let air and sunlight in so that the tree they're
So is that
climbing up.
in general why fenestration happens?
Yeah,
Is
I think so.
for plants to allow light into its understory?
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that was fascinating to see.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, some of those climbing philodendrons are just
Oh, they're
amazing.
gorgeous. They're
So
gorgeous. I got
amazing.
one right behind me in here.
I
I
know I've
can't.
mentioned that. I'm sorry. I know I've mentioned this to you before, though. Too is, and one. It would be so fun, actually, probably to actually walk through it with you. But the Amazon spheres there in Seattle,
Oh, I
man, what a
love
beautiful
those.
space, huh? What a beautiful space.
That is one gorgeous space. And just a really quick story.
Sure.
The first time I went there, it was their grand opening, and I got invited.
Hmm.
And there were tons of people, but there were a lot of TV and radio crews, and they all wanted to do interviews with me
Yeah.
before, and I didn't get to go on one of the tours.
Oh no.
So there were 4 people with a special guide getting a tour. So I thought, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to go join this tour because I got to get a tour. It
Yeah.
was Jeff Bezos.
Was it? Oh
Yeah.
my! Giving you a personal tour.
Jeez,
Wow.
so I got the whole tour with Jeff Bezos.
Right.
He didn't seem to know who I was, but
Oh
he let me
well,
come along.
well that makes sense for someone like Jeff Bezos, anyways, because we know that real true people in the Pacific Northwest know who Ciscoe Morris is. That's for sure. You know, and yeah, so sorry on that for when it comes down to it. And then I can see this here real quick, but no, I must have missed it or something. But anyways, yeah, like I was saying, everybody in the Pacific Northwest knows Ciscoe Morris. And one of the things I wanted to kind of show here real quick and show everybody before I let you go, not to really put you on blast or, embarrass you any more than I already have with my introduction story at all too. But I wanted to show this a while back ago when you were on our first show, but I didn't get a chance to get it on and everything. But again, too, you're such a big treasure of the Pacific Northwest. Anybody, it doesn't have to be gardening. Everybody wants to get a piece of you, like you said. You go to this Spears, everybody wants an interview, all that sort of stuff, because you're just a genuinely wonderful, wonderful human being, Ciscoe. And a few years back, the rest of the nation kind of got to know about Ciscoe Morris a little bit too, didn't they? When John
I know what this is.
When John Oliver decided to have a little clip in the middle of his show. Let's take a look real quick, everybody.
You wish you loved anything as much as Seattle gardening expert Ciscoe Morris loves everything.
It's time to clean out the garden. There's room for new plants out there. This is the best tomato on earth. Oh, I love that plant. I love this nursery. Adorable. Great plants.
This is a really cool plant. This is the ugliest plant in the world, but I love it. I love chimes. I've used one of these for a banister on my porch. Oh, Megan, I'm so excited. Look, the rhubarb is starting to bud. It's so cute. Rhubarb garden. I just saw rhubarb budding up in my garden, and I love the rivet tweedle out of that stuff. I'm going to harvest the living beetle hopper out of you.
So pretty. Does smell good.
So flavorful. Oh la la. Oh la la. Oh la la. La la. Oh la la. Oh la la. Oh la la. Oh, I love doing this. Oh, can I do this for the next half hour? Look at that one.
That was so wonderful. And I'll tell
I
you
haven't
what,
seen that for a long time.
it's been a few years, but and I had to play it because it is really ultimately just such a wonderful compilation, if anything. But I remember actually watching that show that night and getting up out of my chair like, oh my gosh, Ciscoe!
You know what? I had no idea that was going to be on. And
Yeah.
to this day, I don't know where they got those clips from. I know they were from shows I did, but I
Yeah.
don't know who sent them to them.
Yeah, their producer really worked on that, didn't they?
So somebody put some.
I don't
work
even
into
know
that.
if I could do that with the archives I have of my own stuff, really, let alone know that some producer found all of those different clips from different times too. And there was some different times in your television career there as well. But yeah, I mean,
I woke
so-
up on Sunday morning,
yeah,
didn't know anything about this, didn't know it was on the computer or anything.
yeah.
Turned on my email. There was like 200 email messages from me, people I'd never met from Sweden, France, all over the world were sending me emails after that show.
Why? You're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I'm getting all this.
And I hadn't even seen it. I'm like, what
Yeah.
happened?
Which was great too, though. And I know everybody, and I saw, and I looking it up, trying to find the clips and everything too. It was great to kind of see like all the different folks from around the different television stations and people highlighting it and everything, because again too, it's such a joy to for one, for all the different television stations, the radio stations and all of that, to get to have you helping teach everybody gardening over the years. It's such a dang pleasure, for me, being someone from the Seattle area myself too. And it's like I mentioned too, it's one thing to be such a great garden educator like you are, but you're such an inspiration too as well.
Well, I'm lucky. I'm the luckiest person on earth. I've had the
Yeah.
funnest life of anyone I've ever met. It's just, You aim a camera at me, the ham comes out. There's no control.
That's right. That's right. And I'm trying to take as many of those cues from you as possible because you know what? We're all out here trying to have fun. Gardening and growing's fun. Being able to teach and inspire people is fun. And getting in front of a camera can be fun too, to share and do all of that sort of stuff. And what a wonderful pleasure too. One other thing I wanted to mention to you too, and I was kind of talking with our first guest, Aaron, because he had a shirt on earlier, and it looked like because I couldn't see what it was saying earlier, it looked like it was a Dodgers shirt. And I was like, "Oh, are you wearing your Dodgers shirt?" But it's actually a Los Angeles Florist shirt. But it was making me think about our good friend Big Dumper, who's chasing Shohei Ohtani for the Major League Baseball home run lead right now. How about our Mariners, huh, Cisco?
I haven't seen anything this exciting for years. This is just thrilling. I've led 2 garden tours, baseball gardening tours back east. Okay. We followed the Mariners. We beat the Tweedle out of the Yankees too.
Yes.
Oh yeah, so it's really exciting to see the Mariners doing so good this year. Really exciting.
Yeah. Ooh la la. Yeah. But I was sitting and I was listening to the game yesterday because you mentioned it too earlier. I listened to the games, like especially back in the day with Dave Niehaus. I do love my Rick Riz still a little bit,
yeah, Rick's out there.
Rick's amazing. But I was listening yesterday to the game, and it's just, you have to take in moments and remember those moments, and always remember standing out watering, because I'm trying to keep my plants watered right now. It's so hot, and I'm out watering the garden listening to the game. And here it was, Big Dumper to the plate, and he hits that 20th home run. Mind you, everybody, and I'm only going off on this because this was Major League Baseball history. The whole of Major League Baseball, a catcher has never hit 20 home runs before the end of May. Cal hit 2 of those yesterday. He is probably the best catcher in Major League Baseball right now. He might be heading towards a career of being one of the best in the history of the game. We got to listen to history yesterday, and I just remember, Cisco, this is what I was sitting there watering the garden, and he hit that home run, and I've got the hose and everything, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Wah!" And the hose is around, and I'm all over.
Well, at least it was hot out.
Yes, and it was hot for it for sure too. But that's so wonderful,
that's
so great. Yeah, and I just thought we got to share that too. For sure. That's a fun time again too, Cisco. So fun to get to hang out with you here today.
Well, this was really fun for me too.
Yeah, definitely. Always fun to be able to hear all these great stories. And again, too, we'll have to, down the road, as we keep on growing here on Let's Get Growing, we'll have to keep having you back to hear about more and more of these stories, because definitely so much fun. Like I said, so much fun all the time.
Fun.
Excellent, Cisco. I'm going to get moving here to finish up this show today. So I'm going to put you in the back there. Hopefully catch up with you here in just a minute. But again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking time to share with all of you, all of us. And again, too, everybody go and check out if you want to find Cisco. I got a link down below, Ciscoe.com down there, and maybe you can go catch a garden tour sometime there with Cisco. But definitely go there. Check that out. Thanks again.
All right, Cisco. And everybody, don't forget to eat your Brussels sprouts. You can stay buff like me.
Yeah. That's right. Eat your Brussels sprouts too. Definitely. I almost forgot to mention, I got this little thing right here from my good friends over at TBTL. It's this little sound machine that they put out for their podcast that they have. Luke Burbank. From the old Cairo days there. TBTL. And every now and then they play this drop, and they play a few other Cisco drops. There's one that says from your radio show where you say, it was a mistake to do that. I love that clip. It's so fun. That's such a funny clip. And then of course there's the clip that everybody knows.
Uh,
So I
oh.
have ooh la la at the handy. Right on, Cisco. Thank you so much.
Oh,
We'll
thanks.
catch you all later. Absolutely.
Okay.
Right on, right on. What a fun conversation with Ciscoe Morris. I could sit there and talk with him all day and have fun and talk garden stories about all sorts of stuff. So we'll just have to save it for another show because I know Cisco's got shows and shows worth of awesome, funny gardening stories from his garden, his gardens at the Seattle University that he used to take care of, world gardens around the world that he's done tours at and everything. So we'll definitely have to look forward to having him back on the show again down the road for sure. And again, thanks to Aaron, Garden Zaddy, joining with us earlier for the Are You Following Me segment. Great to meet up with Aaron on the show as well too. And like I say, definitely get down in that description and check out those links to our guests. Go show some support. Let them know that you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show. And real quick here before we head out, I want to do a real quick rundown. If you didn't get a chance to check out last week's show, we did have Joseph Lofthouse, author of the book Land Race Gardening, on the show. We were talking about land race gardening and seed saving with Joseph Lofthouse. Really great discussion about that. Some really interesting topics in the area of seed saving for sure. And then we got to meet Brandy from the Suburban Gardenista. Really great conversation. It was great to meet her on last Saturday's show. And on last Sunday's show, the Sunday edition of the show, we had with us New Garden Road, Scott from New Garden Road and Michael from the Garden Nerd joining with us. And we were asking on that show, what does your garden say about you? And so we had a really fun kind of conversation starting off with that. And it was a really interesting, great, fun discussion. You want to go back and check that out if you haven't already, there for our Sunday edition of the show, as well as each and every third Sunday of the month we do have our monthly gardening book club. So I do want to mention that we do have our monthly gardening book club on the third Sunday, and this month we're featuring The Food Forward Garden by Christian Douglas. Christian will be joining with us on Father's Day, June 15th, for our Sunday edition of the show for our book club to talk all about the Food Forward Garden. So you'll want to make sure you check that out, as well as our second Sunday of the month coming up this next week as well too. I just want to mention, and for everybody who's been wondering where's Scott at, we've got Ask Gardener Scott coming back up next week, next Sunday on our Sunday edition of the show. So Scott will be back. You want to get your garden questions together and be ready for all that great garden advice and some more fun gardening conversations with Scott. And next Saturday on the show as well too, we've got joining with us Jeremy Trotsky from Dirty Punk Gardening. We're going to talk all about Jeremy's garden with him as well too. We'll get to meet some more fun gardeners on next week's show. But we also do, like I said, we are here every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and 7 p.m. British summertime as well too, for all of our British viewers as well. And so definitely come and check us out tomorrow for our Sunday edition of the show, where we will be interviewing and having another fun gardening roundtable. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to find, there it is. We're bringing back more authors. We're kind of like authors. We're bringing back some of our book club members from everything as well too. So for tomorrow's roundtable, we are going to have with us Ashley Thomas, the Mocha Gardener, author of How to Become a Gardener, and Christy Wilhelmy, Garden Nerd, author of the book Garden Variety, featured on our Book of the Month Club, for a garden roundtable discussion tomorrow, where we're asking, what brings you joy in the garden. So y'all don't want to miss out on that show tomorrow. And before you leave, real quick, click that like button, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe as well as the bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams. And be sure to share with all of your garden friends. Check out all of the links in the description below. And man, what a great show, everybody. So much fun with you all here today. And I look forward to seeing all of you for our Sunday edition tomorrow.